and welcome to Tokyo Inklings. My name is CY. You can find me on my website at tokyostationpens.com, on my Instagram at tokyostationpens, and on Twitter at tokyostationmnh.
And my name is Jacob. I'm Foodafan on Instagram and on Twitter, and have a blog at foodafan.com.
Hello, my name is Khue, and I'm AdmiraiCat on Instagram.
Hi, I'm Alesa. I'm Inky Rocks on YouTube, Instagram, and now I have a Twitter.
All right, so Jacob, we have a tradition, as you know. In the beginning of every episode, I read reviews, and I'd like to read just 2 reviews today very quickly because we've got a lot of news to get through. So the first review is from Esoterica 1693 via Apple Podcasts, and Esoterica writes, 5 stars, excellent window into the epicenter of the modern fountain pen world. This podcast brings the latest news about developments in the fountain pen world in Japan to English speakers, including insights into economics of the business and the culture of Japan. A must listen for any collector of modern fountain pens or inks. 2 great guys with lots of knowledge and love for the hobby. And then the second review is from Steve from DC. Steve writes, 5 stars, excellent perspective. As American, I enjoy the international perspective on this hobby and learning more about Japan and Asia in general in the context of pens and stationery. Nicely done. So thank you so much to both Esoterica 1693 and Steve. I can't say your last name, but thank you so much. It really means a lot to us to hear these reviews because everybody has such nice things to say, and we're just really moved by how kind everybody is to us. So we hope that you'll keep supporting us in our endeavor. We're again almost at the 1-year mark. I'd say next week will mark really the first anniversary that we've been doing this podcast. So thank you very much. If it wasn't for your support, we wouldn't be able to, do a full year of podcasting. So again, we really, really appreciate it. And if you want to have your review read on the podcast, please consider leaving us a review on the Apple Podcast app, because that really helps us out. Leaving a rating always helps us out, and it helps other people find the show.
And again, as we said last time, it's not obvious how to leave reviews from Android, so in that case, a comment on our website is much appreciated.
Yes. And so I know we don't have a lot of time, but I would still like to spend a little bit of time talking about Maruzen because it did happen last week, and I think it's just too huge of an event to skip. Do you mind if we talk a bit about Maruzen?
Yeah, let's start with Maruzen.
All right. So we all went to the Maruzen Fair, which started last Wednesday, so on the 3rd. And just to give our listeners a brief review, what is this Maruzen Pen Show, Jacob?
So they've been doing this for a bit of 10 years now, I think. And so this is like once a year. It's an annual event where they sell certain limited edition pens and inks, and they invite pen makers, like both Japanese pen makers like Eboya and also international distributors to come to Maruzen and show off their pens. So it's both sort of traditional mini pen show, but it's also like workshops, make your own inks and so on.
Yeah, and it's quite an interesting, let's say, show. It's not a show that people consider pen shows in the US, so to say, because I think in the US it's more kind of let's say not hosted by a retailer, right? And this one is quite huge. We have what, Sailor, Pilot, Eboya, Ohashido, Nakaya, who are the real hard hitters coming to this event. But it's not a show that, let's say, any collector can just set up table. You have to be really like a retailer to be part of this event.
And also, now for the last 2-3 years, we had the Tokyo International Pen Show. But before that show existed, the Maruzen was one of the, if not the biggest, pen event of the year in Japan, I would say.
Yeah. And one of the cool things about Maruzen is that they always have these limited edition models for the show. So that's always really, really cool.
Yeah, so usually they have at least 1 or 2 sailor pens. They have 1 or 2 pilot pens, and it's usually an Ohashiro and Nakaya and Eboya. That seems to be the standard formula for the last few years.
Yep. And the most popular one is always, correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, it's always the pilot.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's always been the case, but we know, what was it, last year or the year before, when they had this blue custom urushi that sold out very fast from pre-orders far long before the show even started, and a lot of people were disappointed because of that. And again, this year, the most popular pen, which we're going to talk about in a bit, I guess, was also pilot pen, and there was only one of those pens left in the morning when I arrived, basically just when the show opened. So I think most of them were sold out from pre-orders too.
Yeah, and that's interesting because you're talking about, of course, the Tsuyamidori. That's interesting because that didn't sell until the next day. And I know because I'm the one that bought it.
Well, they wanted to have it on display, right? Yeah, for sure. I think you bought the one that was on display, so they wanted to show it off before they sold the last one.
Yeah, that's the one on display. I was surprised to see it when I went back, but it's quite a nice pen. The urushi is not the same as, let's say, what you would expect from Nakaya. In the sense that it's really not taminuri at all. It's a very even coating, single color, and this is lacquer, I believe, on brass, and it's the same base as the 100th anniversary pens, but except the 100th anniversary have the ball clip, and this has the sword clip or the shield clip, whatever you want to call it.
But they also have a number of pens in their standard lineup, the higher end pilot pens in the standard lineup. They have one with Ishime Nuri, I think, and there's one with some makie or some inscriptions on it, and it's all based on the same vest. They call it the vest type pen, which is brass base with urushi on top, but kind of like a flat top Namiki Yukari Real, basically.
So this year I bought 2 of these. I bought one Tsuyamidori, which, as you said, was almost sold out by pre-orders. And I also got a botan, which is the same model but in pink. And interestingly, the botan was still in stock by far. They had all of the nib sizes. They're like, yeah, we have plenty of stock of these. And the botan was a pen that was released in 2018.
I think it was in 19. Yeah, this was the second. They've done 3 of these, I believe, in total so far. They've done a blue one, and then this reddish pink botaniro, and now the green one. And as you said, the botaniro reddish pink one wasn't nearly as popular, even though it's actually cheaper, and it still is cheaper because Maruzen kept the old MSRP.
Yes, so it's about $100 cheaper, and it's a really nice pen. Oh, that pen also came with a bottle of ink.
Yes, because it came in a bigger box, right?
Yep.
From this year, they switched to a smaller wooden box.
Yeah, but that box is not very secure. So there was also they also do these aluminum KOPs, which are not very they're not very common at all. And this year they had a Shishikura pen, which I think might be the first year that they've done that.
We have an expert on the topic of Shishikura pens here.
Yeah. And Shishikura pens didn't actually go that quickly. So I think that really shows the state of the market at Maruzen. The people who are going to the Maruzen show, they're not really the same people that try to buy the Shishikura pens, which I find to be a bit interesting because the pens that Maruzen have at their show, they're exclusive. They're all very, very expensive. And, the Shikura is also expensive, but at $440-ish for the base model, let's say the regular nibs. That's actually not so bad compared to the rest of the market right now. And you could still buy that on the day. I mean, it wasn't sold out necessarily by pre-orders. It was relatively in the lineup, not as popular as more of the high-end offerings.
Yeah, that seemed to be the case, and I think you're right that the people who go to Maruzen, I think many of them, they go every year and they buy the same pen every year, so they come for their annual sale or the annual Ohashido pen.
Yeah, and I think mostly men.
Yes.
In attendance. Yeah.
But related to that, so I was there around 10 a.m. in the morning, just after it had opened, and there weren't that many people there, and all the inks were there. But then, just around between 10 and 10:30, as I'm sure you're gonna tell me about, the inks started disappearing, and I saw that there were some familiar faces. There was people I recognized from Inkinuma in particular. So that they came for the Maruzen inks.
Yeah, so they have these great inks that they do for the show, and for a few years now they've been bringing back the older years, which is interesting because originally they marketed these inks as ultra mega rare, and you're never gonna have a chance to buy these again, which is actually still true to an extent, but there are specific ink that are very, very popular. So Kirin is a very popular one, for example. Also Sakuramichi was very, very popular.
That was the first one to go this year.
Yeah. And what happened was last year, I was working, so I couldn't get out to the show because I was working in the office, and so I was only able to go after work around 7 or 8-ish. And so I texted you, Jacob. I wrote, "Hey Jacob, I can't make it to the show in time, but you work really close. Can you pick up a few bottles for me?" And you told me, you said, "Oh, there are plenty of bottles left. Nobody's here because of COVID, so pick up your own damn bottles." So I was like, "All right, that's great. Nobody's here, so I'll go and get my bottles." So I got to the show, and there were no bottles left because everybody else had already taken the bottles that I asked Jacob to do. He's like, "Oh no, but there were a lot." Okay, so we fast forward to this year, 10:30. I was working near the area that day, so I could stop by the show. And Jacob said he needed to go to immigration. So originally we had decided to meet up around 10, but I don't know, for various reasons, different people were like, "Hey, let's move it to 10:30. So I was like, "Okay, let's move it to 10:30. So move it to 10:30. And then Jacob, who said he was going to go to immigration at 10 o'clock, sends us a text saying, "I'm already here."
Which is probably the fastest time anyone has ever gotten in and out of Tokyo immigration.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. And Jacob texts me, he's like, "Oh, there aren't that many people here. There are still plenty of bottles left." And I said, "This guy, no, I don't trust you, Jacob. Get me a freaking bottle." I arrived at 10:31, and all the bottles of Sakuramichi are gone again. So, the point of the story is, if you want a bottle of these inks, get there at opening time. Because otherwise,
don't trust Jacob.
Some people might tell you there are a lot of bottles. Yes, don't trust Jacob. They're all gonna be gone.
I didn't actually realize at first that there were two different Sakura inks. So they have Sakuramichi and then Nihonbashi Sakura, I think. And I think I just thought it was just one ink and plenty of bottles. So in my defense.
And the Sakura Nihonbashi is the first one, I think. It's the bright pink. This one, you have plenty of them, yeah. But the other one is more, a lot of people want it.
Yeah. So Khue, Alesa, you both were at the show as well. What did you think?
It was quite empty. Even compare like last year, we thought that because of the COVID, it will be empty. I had the feeling that this year was even not more empty, but yeah, like doesn't feel like a fair. It feels like a normal day at Maruzen.
But I feel like the first
a
day,
little bit sad.
the first day, like at 10:30, I felt like there were still a lot of like people. There were people that I usually didn't see.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like like if 2 years ago, like this kind of exciting people lining and queuing in front half an hour before and like rushing in, and it feels like a crowded Saturday for COVID, but not the beginning of a fair. Like I think all the pen makers, it seems quite a little bit sad. Like there was no one in front of there. Maybe Eboya has some like customers. Like people just come and grab the pen they pre-order and left.
Yep.
I don't know. I had this feeling, but maybe
I'm not sure how long they have been doing pre-orders though, because I asked them about pre-orders, and they said they got tons of pre-orders. They have one like huge bookshelf full of pre-ordered pens and inks. So I think that has changed the dynamic a bit.
They also changed the setup, right? Because usually that part is full of like Pilot, Sailor has a table, Platinum has a table, and then they have the distributors table. But this year it was just the distributor, and there was nobody, like there wasn't a staff to attend to you, and it was basically an exhibition part, which you could buy stuff. And then there was the table where you can collect your pre-orders.
Maybe because a lot of people pre-order, then they know they are not in the rush to get to the shop on the first day, so they have at least 3-4 days to pick up their stuff if they don't need the inks.
There were still a lot of people, I would say, in the morning at Eboya's table, and also at the main Maruzen's main counter where they had all of the limited editions. People wanted to see them and decide whether to buy.
Yeah, but you can still feel the pandemic is here. Like it's not. But yeah, then if you compare with Uniqlo limited edition, then you know that people can be really crazy even if there is a pandemic. So the people who love pens are a little bit more reasonable than people that love clothes.
Only a little bit more. So you were there too. What did you think?
Mainly, I'd just like to make it real clear. I think we were talking about earlier that it's not like a pen show in the States, and it really isn't. And just to make it clear to your viewers that Maruzen is a bookstore, and it has a fountain pen section or fountain pen floor, stationery floor. And then they invite all these different retailers to exhibit their stuff, like Pilot and Sailor and then Eboya. And you're not going to see like pen turners or individual nib grinders or any of that. They just basically squeeze in tables of other retailers. So it's a really big retail event. It isn't so much like a pen show that most people would know about.
That's right. That's right. Did you buy anything?
Just ink.
Just ink. How much? What inks did you get?
I don't know. They're still in the bag, and there's like 6 of them.
And Jacob, what did you get from the show?
Well, I got the Tsuya Midori, but that was not for myself. I helped a friend buy a pen, and then in inks I got the only thing I got for myself were was it 2 or 3 inks. I got the new ink this year, the Nihonbashi Hayashi, and I got. What else was it? Yes, so last year they released 3 inks, so Ginkan, Hinkan, and Dokan. And probably the least popular of them was Dokan, but I actually liked that one. But I got rid of that bottle last year, so I got myself a new bottle of Dokan.
Yep, I got myself via you, thankfully, Sakura Michi. I got a bottle of Kirin, and I got some of this year's and last year's as well. But this was quite a, I'd say, fun event. Even though it's not like a pen show that everybody thinks about, it's still very fun. And I would say Maruzen's show is a huge. I think it like starts the year.
I would say it's an important event. More, it's fun, but it's kind of, like you said, a lot of new stuff comes out there and a lot of really high-end pens and the special editions that are wanted all over the world. So it's an important event.
Yeah. And we got to see a bit some of the other pens. So the Pilot Heritage SE, for example, was already on display. I know, Jacob, you didn't get a chance to really take a close look at those, but those were on display.
I did actually, not the same day, but I went back and had a look at them. Yeah.
Nice. So listeners of this podcast will know that if you've listened to the last episode, if you haven't, go listen to it first before continuing. But those of you who've listened to the last episode, you'll know that we had a very feisty discussion on the Heritage SE. I said it was going to be a controversial pen. For what it's worth, the guys over at the Pen Addict also didn't like this pen. And I'm not going to call you out here, but somebody on this recording really liked this pen. Regardless of our disagreements on this pen, we both agreed that this should be the beginning of what Pilot needs to do, or what Pilot should do, from our perspective.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
What we want to see out of pilots in the future. And I said that you're never going to see this on an 823, though. You're going to see this on an 823 because that's they're just not willing to go as adventurous on such a iconic pen in their lineup.
Yeah, we have talked about this before, and see why you and we have talked to another retailer about this and said, I mean, what people want is a store exclusive 823. That's sort of the holy grail almost.
Yeah. I will say that I'm still right that they're never gonna do what they did for the Heritage SE on the 823. But the Mad Lads did it. They made a store exclusive 823.
So you're saying you're eating your words.
Or
now.
maybe they're listening to the podcast.
Well, okay. Maybe. Oh, that would be exciting. But to be fair, the pen that we're going to talk about now is a store exclusive. It is a different color, but it's not the pen in itself that excites me as much as the fact that they actually went and did the thing. So we've talked about this store on the podcast before, but there's a shop very close to Bunga Box called Shosaikan, and it's one of the more high-end stores in Tokyo. It's really a nice, beautiful store, and for many people, including myself, this is our favorite store in Japan. And I found out through various different means that so apparently the guy who created the store, he's actually on the board member of Haneda Airport. That's why the first Shosaikan was actually in Haneda. But anyways, tangent aside, this store is super, super beautiful. It's like a museum, and their color theme is blue. So when you walk into the store, it's all blue. And they have also a store exclusive ink. They have two, but one of them is a very blue ink. So they have this blue idea going on there. Their card is blue, and it's this kind of like a dark, almost navy blue. And for their 20th anniversary, they came out with their store exclusive with Pilot. And we've mentioned this before. Pilot doesn't like to do store exclusive just for anybody. They like to do it on the big numbers. So 1, 5, 10, 15, 20. 20th anniversary of Shosaikan, they came out with this navy blue Pilot 823.
We have this group chat on Instagram, and you posted a link yesterday, and that was like 10 minutes, I think, after Shosaikan had done an Instagram post about this pen. And at that point, you had already pre-ordered. Right? And so I asked you for the number to Shosaikan because you just called them, so you know the number, and I called them and I pre-ordered immediately too.
Yeah. This pen is called Gen I. What do you all think about this pen?
I really like the nib. So there's this. It's just one like laser engraved little logo, but it's not the usual like Pilot like swirls or whatever you want to call it. It's a very clean nib, and then the barrel is this sort of dark, slightly translucent indigo blue. I think that's how they explained it. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's a bit expensive though, isn't it? It's almost $500 for the pen that's usually $300. So there's a bit of a markup.
If you compare to these increasingly regular like Sailor Pro Gear Special Editions, I mean, this is the same price as a Pro Gear Special Edition. And to me, I mean, I know both Khue and Alesa are going to disagree, but to me, this is a much more exciting than your regular Pro Gear Special Edition.
Yeah, but the Shishikura-san one from Maruzen has a very nice engraved nibs too.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So, but I'm just waiting for Jacob to finally sell his, and that's when I'll get mine.
It could happen.
It will happen.
It would happen.
I'm mostly excited by, as I said earlier, too, that they went ahead and did it. And to my knowledge, this is the first time.
Over the last few months, Pilot has done a lot of interesting pens, right? So they've done the 20 color Decimos, they've done the Kepler's Wish, they did that purple cookie pen for Yotsuba, they did the Koseki Yuji music pen, they did the Usagiya pens that we talked about recently, and now this. So it's harder to get hold of these pens than Sailor Special Editions, I think, and they're not available, worldwide. But Pilot certainly does interesting limited editions.
I'm sure they're listening to the podcast.
Must be why.
So, Pilot, if you are listening, please add more glitter in your pen, please.
We'll call it.
Well, the Heritage SE is glittery, so you can get that.
Yeah, but that's not a sailor though. She likes white socks.
No, it will be too dangerous for me. So keep it going more plain, Pilot, please.
So, do you think this represents a shift in how Pilot is seeing their business? Because they've also come out with this Il-Milli brand that we've talked about in the past on this podcast. Do you think they're trying to shift to a more younger audience? Because if I look at these pens, right? If I look at this 823, if I look at the cookie, even the music pen, that's, I still think more geared to the collectors. Maybe not the music pen as much, but the other two certainly yes. It still looks to be a more let's say older demographic, whereas the Usagiya and the Heritage SC seem to be focused at a younger audience. What are your thoughts on this?
Younger and maybe more feminine audience too, like the Wish too.
Yeah.
The older Capless series.
Yeah.
More colorful, more like not black.
But do you think this marks a shift in how they're seeing where their place is in the market?
Yeah, I guess like we all talk about this Inkunuma and the new audience that the pen the pen market in Japan is opening up, and I guess they were late in the game compared to Sailor maybe, but they try to catch up, I guess. maybe they changed someone in the board or the marketing team.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I know that the old oyajis, as we call them here in Japan, the old grandpas and grandmas are still getting this pen is because this pen, the Shosaikan pen, comes with a 70 milliliter bottle of blue black. So I know Jacob's gonna jump on that.
Yeah, that's second only to Pelican Blue Black in my list.
So when you sell me the pen, you can just skip the ink for me, okay?
I'll sell that.
Then you get a discount, Alesa.
All right, so that was the Pilot 823. It's limited to 100 pieces, and it starts to go on the market. It goes on the market April 2nd, and yeah, I just think it's a very exciting thing for Pilot to be doing. I think it's very exciting for Shosaikan. I want there to be more, and I want there to be more things like the music pen, not necessarily for an anniversary, but just like an exclusive to celebrate. So fingers crossed we'll be seeing more of this. I think the difference is that Sailor still does limited editions willy-nilly, and Pilot seems to really want to do it for a specific event. Alright, so since we've compared the two, as usual in the past 2 weeks, Sailor decides to release or announce at least 3 limited edition pens. The first one that they announced and already sold out of is the Nomble Black Cat. So this Nomble, I don't really know how to say this, like Nomburu. So I don't know what this word is. But anyways, Nomburu, they have come out with several cat-themed Sailor exclusives in the past. Apparently, everybody goes crazy over cats.
But yeah, these NBC pens, they always seem very popular. You see them at the crazy markups on eBay and other second-hand markets.
Yeah.
People seem to love them.
Yeah. I got a few for some friends, and it was pretty nutty. I could only reserve one, and you were limited to buying 3. And then it was Kinokuniya's, and I was there maybe 15 minutes before they opened, and there was already like 5 people ahead of me, and by the time they opened, there was like 20 people. And they had sold out of several nib sizes while I was standing there in line.
I had a very similar story. I went a few hours after opening, but still on the first day. And when I got there, they only had music nibs left.
Oh, seriously? Wow.
Yep. I was there on day 1, and the numbers that I got, because they have serial numbers, the numbers that I got were 93, 94, and 95.
They might be those bigger nibs that they charge more for, because mine were all in the 80s, and they were Zooms.
Yeah.
So, but they did stick with that thing where they charge more for music and Zoom nibs.
Yeah, and I saw that Pensachi is selling for $6.99.
Oh, already? Wow.
Yeah, $6.99. I mean,
wow.
So that's a huge markup, and yeah, that's what they're selling for on the secondary market. But I don't know if that's $700 for this pen. What do you think? Because you got some for your friends, right?
Right. It's a beautiful pen, and it's got a very unusual nib, and it's got a more stealthy looking trim, which is very unusual too. They know their audience. They make pens, I think, specifically for cat lovers, and I think this whole, the darker colored, it had some sparkle in it, so even Khue might be interested, and it had matching clear end caps. It was, they know their audience.
Yes, I don't know, $6.99. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Well, they were going for the Persian cat. I think a couple of them topped 800. I mean, that was a particularly popular one.
For $800, you could buy a Mont Blanc at retail price.
Yeah, but it's a Mont Blanc. It's not a cat pen.
But you can get a snake pen.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just what people like, and I totally understand that.
And you can also buy a black one and send it to Bokomondo and get like a Rodden Aurora spiral thing for the same price, or even less maybe.
I don't think so. Not if you pay for the pen itself.
No, if you pay for the pen, it's going to be $250. Yeah, you send it to Bookmondo, that's, I don't know, let's say $400.
Not for a rod and spiral, I don't think.
I don't know how much that costs because I've never gotten one before, but...
Rodin gets pretty expensive because of the intricate work, I think.
Yeah, it's around 450 if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a crazy release. 100. I'm surprised they tried to go engraving with the serial number here. I just don't think it was necessary to have that serial number engraved. I think that just bumped up the price. But yeah, this was very, very popular. I had like 10 messages coming at me saying, "Hey, can you get this?" And I was like, "No, I'm sorry, I can only get 3."
Yeah.
But so you went to the store to pick them up, right?
Right. I went earlier because I knew you could reserve one.
Yeah.
So I went and reserved one, and then went back
and got the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you think it's hilarious that like this super high-end pen, limited edition, they're sold at Kinokuniya, and what you imagine is that, it's some kind of cool, fancy store, but, actually going there, it's a literal hole in the wall in some dark, stinky tunnel.
Well, Kinokuniya has always been that way, that particular one. The really nice one, of course, is in Times Square, but yeah, it's always been that way. That it's been set up like that too since like 20-30 years ago.
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious because I think a lot of people outside, they might think, all these Japanese stores are like super fancy, but in fact, most of the retailers, they're pretty small.
Yeah, it's actually kind of very Japanese. Just stuff is just crammed everywhere. It's very efficiently run, but yeah, it's kind of going to an old gym or something.
And after this release, almost immediately on the day, Sailor and Plus decided to come out with a collaboration pen. I know that somebody in our group has a pink pen of the same series.
Not anymore.
Oh, really? You sold it?
No, I went through this thing about a half a year ago where all of a sudden I just got glittered out and I sold almost all my glitter pens. As a matter of fact, I think I sold one to Khue's friend too.
Yeah, I remember you did a video about that.
Yeah, I just kind of got over glittered.
Are you going to get this one though?
Probably not. I'm still pretty over glittered. I didn't get Shishikura's last one too, even though it's just beautiful.
It's okay, you can buy from me. I'm more expensive than Jacob. But this pen is this like transparent, shimmery blue pen with sakura petals. I believe they're screen printed onto the pen.
Yeah, I think so.
So, Khue, you like glitter. Is this a pen for you? It's a slim size, though.
But it doesn't have white socks, so...
No, I'm not... Yeah, I remember this series of Sailor with the Sakura. It's not my kind of... I prefer just glitter.
So I've heard stories that the screen printing kind of flakes off.
Well, that was something that I think someone... was posted before, and I actually, when it was posted on Reddit, asked the person, and I really haven't seen anybody else complain about it, and I had it for quite some time and used it almost every day because I was really into that glitter phase. And I'm thinking that, I'm sure if you kind of rub it a whole lot or something, it might wear it down, but I'm pretty convinced that this person was wearing sunscreen or something on their hands. Because sunscreen will eat the paint off of your car. I mean, I've done that. I used to drive around in Hawaii all the time and lean my left hand on the door, and it ate the plastic. So that's the only thing.
So you had a handprint?
No, it was like my elbow. You drove with your right hand and rested your elbow on the side of the car. And it not only took all the paint off, it took like the texture off of the plastic. So I'm thinking maybe the person, was using sunscreen or something like that, because I really wanted to look around to see if that was the case, and I couldn't find any other instance of it, And I would think, too, that Sailor, because in Japan, there's a real a real culture of if you don't like something, you return it. I've actually returned like bad watermelons to the grocery store, and I can't, I cut it in half and it was, not very nice on the inside. And I took it back to the grocery store and on the spot, they apologize and give you your money back. And I'm just really surprised that Sailor would come out with another one if they got a lot of feedback. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like we have the Kambasiren, which is the blue one with the waterfall printing. It's really, I think it's quite sturdy on there, so I'm not really too worried about that.
Was that the one, the special pen that we'd picked up for you before?
Yes.
Yeah, that one's a beautiful pen. I can't imagine it being a problem either.
Yep. All right, and then third Sailor pen. So I don't know, Jacob, if you have anything to say about this, but our favorite head honcho of Wagner, Mr. Mori, his disciple Tomoko, and he started this stationery company last year called Lichtop. I think we covered that on the podcast when they first started up. And she finally has her own Sailor.
Yes, but it is not under the Lichtop brand, right? So she has a different brand now called like Mitsu. I think it's the same company, but she has a different line. I think she's also started selling some like towels and stuff under this Mitsu brand. It's a bit confusing what is Lichtop and what is Mitsu, but this new Sailor pen, as far as I understand, is under this Mitsu brand. And it's sort of no, I don't have the photo in front of me, but I thought it was like a pale pinkish pen with some glitter and like gray finials, gray socks.
Yeah, I think Mitsuo is the parent company, and then Lichtop is just what she calls her the stationery part. But I think that this pen is really it's like one step away from being perfect. I think it's almost a bit too pink. I think if they had the section done in the same color as the finials, that would have been perfect.
So it's shiny but not enough shimmery.
So what do you think about gray finials?
Yeah, I don't know. It's make the pen shorter. No.
Yeah, so I think this pen looks like a slim size, but is actually a full size.
Yeah, a Pro Gear, exactly. So I wasn't attracted by it. Good for me.
Good for your wallet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a bit expensive, right?
Kind of. Not. I think it's in the same range as what limited editions are going for.
Old Pro Gear, yeah. But the difference is the Shikshikura San one I have the metallic part, like the barrel, yeah. So I guess they can play in the more expensive range for the Pro Gear, but this one is all plastic, right?
Yep.
But it's definitely more expensive than that Kyonoto pen, which now in hindsight seemed quite affordable
really
by comparison.
Does. Yeah, exactly. And Kyonoto one was very special, like the fact that it doesn't have the ring,
right,
on the cap. Yeah, and the color is very nice, like very a soft lavender blue.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see if they do any pens in the future, but it's interesting that now really even any small retailer can have a Sailor exclusive. All right. The next news that we have are these Kokuyo notebooks and a rebranded Preppy.
Yes, so this showed up in my newsfeed a few days ago. So apparently Kokuyo has launched a new brand, and the brand name is Perpanep, which is just an anagram of pen and paper. They just rearranged the characters. And so they are releasing 3 new notebooks, and each notebook has a different kind of paper that is, according to Kokuyo, suitable for a certain kind of pen. So there is one notebook that they call Tsurutsuru, which is sort of smooth, like the pen glides on the paper. And according to Kokuyo, this Tsurutsuru notebook is ideal for fine liners. And then at the other end, they have a notebook called Zara Zara, which is sort of textured And they say that this Zara Zara notebook is ideal for fountain pens. They say, what was it? Oto kanjiru ochitsuita kakeaji. So you sort of you enjoy the feedback as you, or the sound of the feedback as you write. And then in the middle they have one that's Sarasara, so not Zara Zara but Sarasara, which is sort of middle of the road, and that is meant to be for ballpoints and gel ink pens. I couldn't find information about what exact paper it is. I'm a bit curious about this because this Zara Zara notebook for fountain pens, it's 90 GSM paper, and I couldn't find any existing Kokuyo paper that is 90 GSM. We know that their very fancy Chobo paper is 100 GSM, and the other high-grade paper called Mio is very light, like a Tomo River-ish. So I'm not sure if this is a newly developed paper. I'm very keen on trying this to see what it is. It's going to go on sale next Wednesday, I believe, so I'm going to have to pick one up. But the other part here is that they're also selling pens to go with these notebooks. So for the Tsuru Tsuru notebook, they're selling a white fine liner, and for the Sarasara, the ballpoint one, they're selling a white, I think it's a Sarasa pen. I'm not sure if that's Kokuyo or Zebra or whatever it is. Yeah. But then, more interestingly, for the Zara, the fountain pen notebook, they are selling a white rebranded Platinum Preppy, and it looks really cool. It looks like if they would have a fountain pen in Kubrick 2001, this is what it would look like.
Yeah, I quite like this fountain pen, actually. I mean, the way that it looks, it's very, I mean, it's a preppy, but it's very Kokuyo.
Yes.
The design language is all Kokuyo, so I really appreciate that.
And we talked a while back, was it 1 or 2 episodes ago, about this Midori pen, and we didn't understand why Midori ended up making their own pens. Right? This is what they should have done.
Yeah, this is definitely what they should have done.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the link right now, and what interests me is that they claim their regular Kokuyo notebooks don't lie like super flat. Or they didn't say their Kokuyo notebook, they said like normal notebooks. It doesn't lie flat, but their Per Pen app, which by the way is a horrible name, does lie flat. So that was one of the selling points. And eco-friendly materials, blah, blah, blah. They have 5 different page layouts. They have 3mm grid, 4mm grid, 5mm grid, 4mm dot grid, and 6mm what they call steno. That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah. And then times 3, right, for each type of notebook. Yeah, so 15 keys.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, that's quite huge of an investment, and I know you're going to get all 10 that are for fountain pens, so I'll wait for your report.
But yeah, so I think next Wednesday I'll stop by Maruzen and pick up one of these and give it a try. I'm really curious about the paper, see if they've done something new.
So very, very tangentially related. I actually went to the Kokuyo showroom last week, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, and they have this cool cafe downstairs where you can have a coffee while enjoying Kokuyo's stationery, and the design is very, very beautiful. So if anyone's ever in Japan one day when borders are reopened, definitely if you're into paper, if you're into notebooks, and if you're into general stationery, I would say that's a destination to visit.
I used to go to the one they have in Harajuku. Their shop, their showroom, Think of Things. It's a very nice cafe too, and they have a showroom in the middle, a shop, like a stationery shop.
But yeah, bringing it back to the topic, the pen that they did, the rebranded Preppy, that's people should just stick, I think, with I mean, there was no need to reinvent the wheel for Midori at such a low price point. Preppy would have done perfectly fine. And I think Kokuyo made the correct decision in doing that.
Yeah, and the Midori pen is like 2,800 yen or something like that. This one is 400 yen.
Yeah.
And it's probably a nicer writer.
Yeah.
I just think that you were right about that Zara as far as the fountain pen paper. That's probably something new to a Western group, is that the Japanese do enjoy different kinds of textured paper. And 9 times out of 10, if you go into like a paper store and you say, I want something that's fountain pen friendly, which is not really a word here, they'll get you paper that's like writing on gravel. I mean, it's like
exactly.
You're just dying, you're going, what? This is fountain pen friendly. And I'm like, yeah, you can feel the texture. And like, yeah, it's Zara seems exactly what it is.
Yeah, I remember when we went to a Kakimori, and they did this major notebook. They have these little labels, right? For each kind of paper, they say how good this particular paper is for fountain pens and for ballpoints. And their recommendation for fountain pens is not, well, their highest recommendation is not Tomoe River, but OK Fools and bank paper, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
All right, last part of our recording today, which actually brings us nicely back to our first topic. When we were at Maruzen, I was buying an Ebuya, and we saw, was that Endo-san's wife?
I didn't ask, but I assumed that from the name.
Anyways, just super, super nice, super helpful. And she gave us this flyer to this Shitatameru exhibition. And the Shitatameru exhibition has been going on for a few years now, with like Stilo Art, Ebuya, and some other smaller vendors. This year, they're advertising this Shitatameru exhibition, and in the past years, this has always been, I think, part of a department store. This year, they're doing it at the same venue as the Tokyo International Pen Show, with Ebuya, Stilo Art, and Mr. Nagahara.
Nagahara, yeah.
There have been some whispers that this might be the next big thing in the Japanese stationery scene. This might be the next show to watch. So we'll be keeping an eye out on that. That's in a few months, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was end of May, which is kind of also where last year they were meant to hold that premium pen show, and it's also around the time when they normally do the Wagner pen trade. So maybe there's some competition there.
Yep. So that's kind of exciting. We'll keep an eye out on that, but not much to report as of right now, but definitely keep your eyes out for this Shitatameru exhibition in the coming months.
Yeah, I think in particular it's interesting because last year, going back to this premium pen show, I think Ebuya was one of the main organizers. I think Endo-san in particular was very involved. The fact that he or an Ebuya is heavily promoting this Shitatameru, and now maybe this means that the premium pen show is not coming back, but this is sort of the spiritual successor.
Yep, let's see. All right, then I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider, again, giving us a review, telling a friend, telling a family member. Just help us spread the word. It really helps. And you know, I really think that we have a lot of room to grow. So we need your help in spreading the word. That being said, my name is CY. You can find me on my website at tokyostationpens.com, on my Instagram at tokyostationpens, and on Twitter at tokyostationmnh.
And my name is Jacob. I'm Fudefan on Instagram and on Twitter, and have a blog at fudefan.com.
Thanks again for having me, guys. And my name is Khue, and you can find me on Instagram at MiraiCat.
Thanks for having me too. I'm Alesa. I'm Inky Rocks on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.